Good morning. It's Saturday, September 21st, 2024, and it's the Wall Street Weekly Wrap Up with your host, John Newquist, and a week of the Fed and earnings, and we'll talk about that. A lot of news this week, not a lot of earnings, but a lot of news. And let's get into it. Because we have, first off, Amazon and Deutsche Bank talked about if the White House trade targets this 800 Chinese exemption. What it means is if you ship under 800 products, dollars worth of products like Temu and Sheen, you can sit there and not have to pay the tariffs. You don't have to do anything. And they're going to restrict the use of this loophole. And who's going to benefit? Amazon. Internet retailer Amazon. So as you can see, it's getting close to the 205. You know, it's up this week. It's gone up since the August low. And again, if you can always buy it below the moving average, that's a good thing. Still, I love the slope. Still a nice, steady slope up, and it's going to do well. Boeing, is our trade. It's not a long-term hold for it because Boeing can't seem to make any money, and they got the strike in Seattle, and they did a whole bunch of good things. And this is where I would tell people that, the new CEO's done some things: hiring freeze, stopping any travel, limiting all first and business class travel. Wow, that's a big deal for those people. Spending non-capital expenditures, spending outside consultant spend, and pausing charitable and other contributions. Basically trying to do austerity. And you can see way down here, 153. Oh my God, this thing was 270, a year ago. A year ago. And, you're talking about people who have Boeing at this price. Oh man, they have a heart attack. It's a trade. We're going to watch how it does in the next 2 months. If it's still bad by the end of October, we're probably just going to dump it. It's not a long-term pick. You just kind of pick a stock that's hit the lows and, it's really got only Airbus as competition. The market, oh my God, look at this. Remember this was like 11% 2 weeks ago? Now it's at 19%. That's how much it's roared. New high on S&P. Here's our SPY chart. Look at this thing. Again, I'm a fan of the slope of the 200-day moving average. What a nice slope. Nothing's not even coming close. It's a broad rally. It's going good. The Dow hit a new high. We'll talk about that a little bit later. You'll see the chart. And then, of course, at NASDAQ, right up there. Not quite near the high, but it's up there. So guess what? You sold out here. You didn't buy in because somebody didn't tell you to buy in. Boy, you got stuck. You got stuck. You might have been losing for the year, and now you missed a big rally. And the indicators, the under 4%. The Fed cuts. The minute that drops 0.5%, it drops the interest rate on the 2 years to 0.5%. So crude oil above 70. That's a big deal. We're all waiting for OPEC talking about in the fall they're going to raise production, raise it. They cut it because they're going to punish the U.S. and but the U.S. is 13 billion barrels a day. I mean, millions of barrels a day. They're more than Saudi Arabia. What they did is they're watching everybody taking the money, and they ain't getting any of it. So they're all going to start doing it. What will it drive oil down? $60. Maybe their theory is we'll put out so much oil that the U.S. companies won't drill, won't do it. We weren't fracking. Never got high enough to get fracking out there. So I think it's a big deal. Natural gas, boy, Europe really wants dreading of this cold winter. We're in a cold winter here. Everybody's going to be on natural gas. It's high. It might, there's a lot of natural gas. It'll probably stay in 2, could even get to 3 if we have this cold spell that they're talking about. I hope it's not a polar vortex, but gold, oh my God, look at this. Boom, boom, boom. It is at a record high. Record high. And it will go to 3,000. When? In the next 24 months. 3,000. So, for most people, that's another 10%. And that's not a bad double-digit gain. Silver above 30. Remember, it was $27 a few weeks ago. Copper still hanging in the 4s. People want to get back to 5. I don't know. China's not helping. Gold's new high. Coffee, finally. Remember, we're just talking. This month, it hit the record high for coffee. And, of course, when you get too much of a high, it comes down. This is a nice jagged high. High, goes down. Another new high, comes back down. Another new high over here, comes back down. So, I just call it the sawtooth pattern. It's kind of going up. And it's, people are drinking coffee. I just heard on the news, you have 3 cups of coffee a day or more, you're going to have a lot of health benefits overall. So, I don't know if I'm up 3, but I'm pretty close, considering I don't know what a cup is. 8 ounces is a cup, but I don't drink more than 8 ounces. Um, Apple traded up. Everybody's watching the iPhone sales. T-Mobile said, "Hey, the first week's pretty good for Apple." So guess what? It's popping up this week. There was a lot of speculation. Is it going? First of all, let's get past this AI phone. They're not putting the Grace Hopper AI chip in a phone. You're not going to put an $80,000 chip in a phone. So it's just access to it. You get AI apps that access to your data center. Hopefully you have a quick connection. Poor connection, your phone ain't going to help you. It's going to be slow. So when I get over to Europe and parts of areas where I get 3G, it doesn't matter how good your phone is. It's 3G. You're not going to get the lightning fast data and stuff. But is it going to go? Everybody's done the camera's good. Great. You gonna buy an upgrade for it? Well, my son's gonna buy one, so he's got it, and we'll find out how good this phone is. Again, we buy best in class, growing revenues every year, and Walmart is the retail dominant besides Amazon. And look at this. I mean, it's a steady chart up. We hit the high up here a little bit above 80. They're gonna have a Burger King partnership and Walmart membership. Remember, this is like Amazon price, 30% in August. Will people have both Walmart and Prime? That's a question I'd like to know. It's cheaper than Prime. So, it's a lot of questions. Next thing you know, is Walmart going to get Thursday Night Football? Like Amazon Prime is giving it to the members. I mean, there's all these things. So, there's got to be a sweetener. You got to make something with Walmart Plus, make people want to sign up for it. And we'll see. We'll see. We added Philip Morris, I'm telling you, this smokeless chew, I mean, they got every flavor. I mean, 5, 6 manufacturers, but, there's no doubt. Philip Morris is the #1 in the country. The crossover, I always talk about what they call Death Cross and Golden Cross, is when, the 200-day moving average, the cross is by the 15 and the 20 above it, so it's now separated. So if you would have picked like right around here when it was about $42, you could have rolled it up to 52, which is not a bad number. But I buy it because there's something. I mean, I don't want to say I like tobacco stocks, but 8% dividend is nothing, and smokeless chew, and they got tobaccoless smokeless chews. So, who's going to do well? And if this company ever get a chance to make vape cigarettes, you're going to see just an explosion in revenue. So this is a hedge. The money's in the vape cigarettes, and I don't care if it's CBD, THC. If this company is allowed to do that, they are going to crush these little vendors. Right now, it's all little guys making this stuff. They're kind of, multi-million-dollar companies, but Philip Morris is the company that's ready to go with their vape pens to switch to THC, to CBD, if they can. So we're going to be in an 8% dividend. Wow, that's better than the bonds. Snap. Well, I just, because Snap, remember, we were up at 16, 17, pop down. I mean, Snap is like the ugliest chart you can have. Buy Snap when it's low, sell it when it's high. Okay. AI in Snap. They've spent some money. They're not buying the, the $1 billion like Microsoft and Meta and everybody else, but they're using it, and they're going to put it in. And I tell people, this TikTok deadline's coming up, and I don't care who the president is. I don't think it'll get renewed. I mean, it went by Congress. Congress is the one that did it, and I don't think the president's going to restore it because Congress would have to do it. So it passed. Remember, it's passed. It's coming. I don't think they care about TikTok. I mean, the both sides are really harsh on the Chinese and the stealing of information, and just the Chinese spy that just got sentenced from the military selling secrets. It's just a litany of these things that just make Congress mad, and I don't think that who benefits. Obviously, Microsoft Reels isn't going to. I mean, Meta Reels is going to do well. Snapchat is doing well, but we're going to see. Intel, holy smokes! Qualcomm, by the Wall Street Journal, put in talk that they want to buy Intel. Woo! Would it happen? I don't think so. I don't think it could. It could. I mean, Intel's had problems, and what I mean by that, look at this thing: $50 down to 19. I mean, this is in a year. In a year, you had Intel. You're punished. I remember Intel 28. Back in the 2008, 2007s, and you go back to 97 was really never that high. So Amazon says they're going to do the chips. Remember, you can't get these, Blackwell chips from NVIDIA. There's a demand for it. Intel makes a good Grace Hopper equivalent. They just ain't got the fabs up to make the production. They can do it. So the tech is there, and hopefully he doesn't cut those people out because they got it. They got $3 billion finally for the CHIPS Act and put a fab plan in Ohio. It's going to cost them $50 billion. This $3 billion is nothing, but it helps. And Amazon's betting on, let's have somebody make our chips for us that is making a good chip. And I think Intel makes good chips. So are they always going to be NVIDIA? No. They'll be second string, but there's a lot of room for the second string right now with the demand. The Fed rate cut 0.5%. I really wish it was a quarter, but everybody's talking about, oh, you got to do it. Well, then now, half cut means they're not moving fast enough. 50% means we cut too much because we're worried about the economy. So there's a study here, and I don't know how close it is, but the average 6 months after 4%, 5% after rate cut. I heard one person said October's the worst month in election year. No, it's September, according to the AI things I use. But I'm telling you, this is you always bet on the, go back to Dr. Love and the super performance stock cycle, the election year, and the day the president gets elected in November, you buy. That's why we're going to clean out the dogs in October and get ready for buying the best again in the area. If we don't make the trades happen, October's a tough month. We've had crashes in October, more in September, but October's a tough month. FedEx earnings, we just watch it because, UPS and FedEx, and really I count Amazon now as a transport company, JB Hunt, it just dropped. I mean, look at this thing. They missed the guidance. A lot of this is, they're not getting the Amazon revenue. They're doing well, but they're not getting the revenue from Amazon, and that's going to be in there. Big thing, they're not growing. They're stalled. And so I think FedEx has just got some struggles. And what's the fair value of it? I don't know. It's you want to buy it on a low trend. That's it. Time to buy is right now. You got to hope. But I don't know what's going to move it up better. What's going to increase FedEx revenues? Something has to increase it. They're going to be Amazon. This is a big news, I think. They're going to open up 3 Mile Island after they've been shut down forever. So I did get, I know the nuclear plants. I've been in several of them before, and I had to go check who owned the Byron, Braidwood, and Quad Cities. It's Constellation Energy making the deal with 20-year power. We are like in the Chicagoland area, the 4th, 5th largest data center capital in the world. And it needs power. And these plants ain't on full capacity by any means. So I can see, you just take Milwaukee, Chicago, draw a circle around 150 miles. Constellation is going to fire it up with the nuclear plants. They're going to get it. They're going to have solid supply. You had the Quad Cities in it, and get further. I mean, we're talking 12, 15, 20 million people in this area, out of 340 million Americans. This is an area that's going to be hot because the grid is stable. We have never had the blackout like in New York, never had the earthquakes like Virginia, never had the outages like Texas with the hurricanes or the cold weather spell where 5 weeks you're out in Maine. This might be a capital. I mean, this, I don't know if it's early. It's early, so we'll see. But this is something you have to think about. So Monday we're looking at buying Constellation Energy. Well, they're going to say, why didn't you buy Friday? I says, you don't buy on the news. You wait till it comes down. It can go up, but we'll see. This is early. I always look at it. Okay, let's say Constellation Energy is like 230. You're getting it early. You're getting it cheap. You're talking billions of dollars coming in, and they got to have it. I mean, they're telling me some of these data centers, 750,000 houses equivalent of power they need. You can't have a grid like Texas go out all the time, summer, hurricane, whatever reason, and run on backup power for 5-6 months. Energy found that they couldn't do that in Arkansas when they lost power. So you're going to have problems, and you need to have solid grid. And everybody I heard one expert, go get Dominion. There's a lot of data centers in Northern Virginia. Yeah, there are. But can Dominion add capacity? No. Constellation has these plants kind of mothballed almost. They're not working a lot, and they're going through it. And also, we're going to look at this hard. Look at this uranium chart. Now, uranium, the trend has gone down, I think if we're going to open it up, uranium is going to be a metal to probably possibly buy. You know, okay, it's $27. You can get 20% if it comes back up to high, and I think it will. We have a double bottom on the uranium stocks. You know, this ETF is the big one for uranium. It's got international uranium companies, Samsung, Mitsubishi, all these different companies that get involved in mining, processing uranium. They have some ETFs like the Sprott ETF and stuff like that. So, you know, maybe split both. You know, maybe 60-40 Constellation, 70-30, whatever. But, you know, you want to be in the uranium market because I think if we look long term, if Microsoft can look 20 years out, why don't you? Is it going to be higher? Yes. They're bringing 3 Mile Island, which is going to cost billions to fix, probably 7, 8, 10 billion. Then it's serious. This is where they're looking at long-term planning. We need a stable grid. And if it's all coming up in this area, you know, not in LA with the earthquakes, faults and stuff, you know, you just got to have the data run. You don't want to be running on 5-6 months without power, 5 weeks without power. And that's why I think it's a big deal. And this week is focusing on the Dows. Now, I call these are industrial companies. These are companies that make something. They kind of have retailers. You know, I always debate, is Coke really an industrial company? Well, they make soft drinks. And the retailers, you know, like 7-Eleven are the retailers that sell it. So I try to go in there. Is a fine line of one, is it a commodity? You know, commodities are bought by the industrials to sell to the retailers. Okay, that's how I kind of define it. I'm using my own definition because I don't think this model we've had for 50 years is actually any good anymore. What do we have? We have Coke, we have Lockheed, we have Boeing for the trade. RIVN, we're just keeping a small position. We haven't added it to it yet, but we're looking at it. Again, the Dow, new high. So industrials are doing well. And you look at I mean, I have more than goes down here, but I just picked the bigger ones that I go through. And other than Boeing and Caterpillar and Deere, a lot of these are doing pretty good. You know, and I was here about the job market, but I watch these companies a lot. Coke's #1 soft drink in America. Dr. Pepper #2. Coke, a lot better, a lot better. And they got the Oreo flavored Coca-Cola, and it tastes like Oreos. I was like, well, that's some chemistry there. So it's good, it's solid, it pays a dividend. Not going to go up. I mean, look at it. If we bought it in January, right here, about $61, you made 20%. Wow. We're looking at 8% on average on our S&P return. That's the average over the years. So when you get 20, you did double the S&P average. And a company pays dividend. Lockheed, you know, the F-35 fighter is 40% of the revenue. They got the missile contracts for Ukraine and everything. It's just doing well. And that Russia-Ukraine war ain't going to end real quick. Might end, but Lockheed's going to be a beneficiary because they make some stuff that's really key over there. And so, you know, I think, okay, let's go back to January. We go right here. It was off 460 at 560, another 20%er. That's why S&P is doing real well, and that's why we're going to beat the S&P, because a lot of our big stocks are there. RIVN is just an initial trade. You know, we're buying it, you know, whenever we bought it, like July, June, right on here. Is it going to go up? Well, it really's been flat. You know, if we bought it right around here, it's been flat. It's okay. But, you know, this is the problem. They're negative revenue. A lot of assistance. And, but I watch it. You know, they're making the stuff for Amazon. They're selling vehicles. I see Rivian trucks now quite a bit in my area because it's made in Illinois. But, you know, this might be a stock. Like I said, and Volkswagen's putting in 40% of the company now. So I think it's, you know, the truck is a lot better looking than Tesla. And I think, you know, it might be better than the Ford F-150. I just don't have a good comparison. But we're in, you know, it's an initial step. We'll add some more to it later. And again, the heat map, you know, it was a choppy week. So if you survived it and you stayed still, you did all right. Microsoft, Google, Meta, Amazon, JP Morgan, ExxonMobil, Big Greens. The only really bad ones we've had were a little bit 2% down on NVIDIA and Walmart. So not bad. You know, the companies that are the biggest in our portfolio did the best, and it was a good positive week. And like I said, we're going to see a lot. It's going to be kind of choppy till election. I think it's a good time to be fully invested. Sell your dogs at the end of the October area and then get ready to buy in again before the election. Otherwise, I know it's a long show. I'll see you next week. Have a good week, and I'll talk to you next week.